Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Haverdagray City Council meeting. The date is June 6, 2022. The time is now 7 o'clock p.m. I'm going to call the roll. Council President Ringsager.
Here.
Councilmember Robertson.
Here.
Councilmember Zinner.
Here.
Councilmember Boyer. Here. Councilmember Shanegas.
Here.
Councilmember Martin.
Here.
All council members are present and counted for. I'd be honored if everybody could join for Pledge of Allegiance and the opening prayer. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If I could kindly ask everybody to remain standing, as I ask to call forward Mary Whitehead of Spearhead Global Outreach. Thank you for being here this evening. We're always happy to have you here in the chamber.
Oh, thank you. It's always a pleasure to be here. Thank you. Father God, we give you all the glory and honor.
Amen.
Lord God, in the midst of all the things going on in the world and here in Haverdagray, we ask that you give your peace, your direction, and leading to our mayor and council. May your presence and your holy direction for this city council meeting be known to our mayor and city council to discover the best directives for this wonderful city. We pray a blessing upon those working, living, and visiting this fine city. We thank you, Lord, for all the blessings that are bestowed upon Haverdagray. Please keep it safe and bring prosperity. We also pray a blessing upon this meeting and upon our leaders. In Jesus' name I pray. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord shine his face upon you and be gracious to you. May the Lord show you his favor and give you his peace. Amen.
Amen.
Ms. Whitehead, thank you so much. We're going to go to item 5, approval of minutes. Approval of the city council meeting minutes from May 16, 2022. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Council President, seconded by Councilmember Boyer. Questions or comments on the minutes? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. City council meeting minutes of May 16, 2022 are approved 6-0 in the affirmative. Item B, city council closed session meeting minutes of May 16, 2022. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Boyer, seconded by Councilmember Shanegas. All those in favor say aye.
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 All opposed say nay. City council closed session meeting minutes of May 16, 2022 are approved 6-0 in the affirmative. Item C, city council special meeting minutes of May 23, 2022. Do I have a motion to approve?
So
So
moved.
moved.
Motion by Council President, seconded by Councilmember Zinner. Councilmember Robertson.
Mr. Mayor, I'm going to abstain due to my absence.
Yes, sir. Duly noted.
Mayor,
Questions or comments?
I too would like to abstain due to my absence.
Duly noted. Thank you. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
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 All opposed say nay. City Council special meeting minutes of May 23rd, 2022 are approved 4-0 in the affirmative. Very good. We're going to go down to item 6 on this evening's agenda, which will be comments from citizens. Excuse me one second. This is the part of tonight's meeting that if you're here to speak on an agenda item, now's the time to do so. But it's also the time, if you're here to speak of any other manner of city business, now's the time to do so as well. Normally what we do, if anybody filled out a form to speak ahead of time, I will call on those citizens first. I have 3 of these this evening, and when I'm done these 3 forms, I will call on anybody in the audience who wishes to speak on an agenda item or any other topic of city business. First one I'd like to call forward is Mr. Kirk Smith.
Mayor would indulge me, if there's speaking of A, I'd like to go last.
Okie dokie. Not a problem. Let's call Mr. Michael Hayden. Good evening, sir. Welcome to the council meeting. May you please have your name and address for the record.
Good evening, Michael Hayden, 108A Market Street.
Welcome.
I'm here on my annual budget spiel. Before I do that, I enjoyed the Jazz and Blues Fest, but I do think if having the free stage downtown is to help stimulate business down there, I think closing Washington Street is kind of counterproductive to that. So anyway, I looked at the budget and I looked at fiscal year 15, which was the last year before Mr. Mayor was elected. And the non-employee mayoral expenses have gone from $5,000 in that year to $32,000, more than 5 times that amount. You got $28,000 in travel and PR, and $2,000 in professional. Now, obviously, when you go and represent Haverdagray, you should be reimbursed. Obviously, that should be the case, but that amount just seems awfully high to me. And I just hope that it's being used primarily for you to represent Haverdagray as opposed to, tickets for you and your family to go see the entertainment, to have private parties, that type of thing. On the administrative side, it's gone from $470,000 to $850,000 in salaries. We, of course, know that the Director of Administration and his administrative assistant are, of course, a big part of that. The expenses have gone from $147,000 to $750,000. I see that you have professional services under administration of $325,000. That's an $86,000 increase. Now, I don't know exactly what these professional services are, but it seems like the mayor has a much larger staff now than he had before, so I'm curious as to why the professional services have to be so large. Their travel and PR is $65,000. I see that's actually down from last year. And we've got employee development of $40,000. Now, on the travel and the PR, when I look at the tourism, their travel and PR is only $8,000. Economic development, their travel and PR is only $3,000. Now, certainly these are both staffs that need to go out and represent Haverdagray, bring in business and tourism for the city of Haverdagray. So when I look at that in comparison to the mayor and administrative, that concerns me. The other one thing with the administrative is, I don't know, is the Star Center in that? And I think the Star Center should actually be an enterprise fund. That should be paying for itself. So that's just my opinion. So that's basically what I have. So thank you for listening and have a good day. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hayden. Ms. Carol Zimmerman. Welcome, Ms. Zimmerman. May we please have your name and address for the record?
Carol Zimmerman, 211B Seneca Way in Haverdagray.
Welcome.
Thank you. I'm here representing the Haverdagray Green Team, and I want to address three resolutions that are on the agenda tonight. And the first one is the MOU renewal for the Green Team's food waste composting project. And Daniel Wolf, who is the Green Team's leader of the Zero Waste program and manages that project, was unable to attend tonight, so I'm speaking in her stead. But you may recall that she spoke several weeks ago, gave a annual report on the progress of the food composting program. So I don't need to repeat everything in there, but I would note that the Green Team's operating a drop-off site at Hutchins Park now this month is 2 years old. You remember we had that ribbon-cutting ceremony in 2020. And since then, there have been no major operational problems at the site. We think it's very successful. It's removed over 71,000 pounds of food waste from the waste stream that goes to the landfill, and instead it's being composted. That's 3,160 pounds per month that is being deposited at the drop-off site. And so instead of going to the landfill, as you know, it's being turned into compost, which is a valuable resource. Feedback we've got is that it's viewed as an asset to the community, so we're pleased that the city is interested in renewing that MOU for another year. So thank you very much for that. I'd like to comment on the other two resolutions while I'm here. These have to do with energy. Resolution 12B, the renewable energy generation, and 12C, reduce electricity consumption. I'll comment on those jointly. First of all, the Green Team is very pleased that the city is moving on these resolutions. As you know, the Green Team is an advocate for reducing our reliance on fossil fuels and for using renewable resources. We do have an environmental film series that's been in place for 5 years now, and we frequently show films to citizens for free to educate them on climate change and the need for changing our energy sources. So it's good to see the city wants to take concrete steps that are reflected in the resolution. I do have a couple comments there that I wanted to bring up. One is that it wasn't clear to me from reading the resolution and the database that went with it, what part of the goal for 2028, the goal of 20% of electricity from renewables has already been achieved. So I understand it's a goal, but where are we in progress toward that goal already? At the bottom of the tables that go with the resolution, it looked like there was 83% of electricity that was already from solar. So I'm sure that the council will have something to say about that as explanation. My other point is 20%, is that a big enough goal? I thought we used to be 100%, but we should be able to do better than 20%, it seems to me. The second comment I wanted to make is that the resolutions will lead to plans for achieving these goals, and some of the approaches that the city will develop may have broader applicability, and it could be helpful to other sectors of our community, such as county buildings, businesses, residences, to know more about how they might take advantage of some of these same steps. So I wondered if you had thought about how to share information as you develop your plans for the city property, because I think a good goal would be to make all parts of our community more sustainable by relying on renewable resources. So I want to thank you for this opportunity to comment, and again, the Green Team supports all three resolutions.
Thank you very much, Ms. Zimmerman. Mr. Kirk Smith, second call. Good evening, Mr. Smith, and welcome. May we please have your name and address for the record?
Kirk Smith, 840 at Siegel Street, Haverdagray, Maryland, 21078.
Welcome.
Welcome, and I can't follow up on what Ms. Zimmerman said. It's spot on. I do not represent the Green Team. I only represent my own individual interests, and I like having a place to take my pizza boxes now. I've been taking them there for a couple of years, and I intend on continuing to take them as long as the city continues to provide this opportunity and the Green Team continues to manage it. I'd like to primarily focus, though, on 12B and C, renewable energy generation. It is my understanding that the city is at 100% minus the Star Center. It's brand new, I get it. But we're primarily solar power. And as you look through, the county and the city have regulations on solar power. But what I don't see, besides our negatives for residential, businesses, and even city property or city-owned buildings, is stuff on wind energy. So it's commendable that in this, I read that the council president and the council wanted to add wind as part of that. We don't have an offshore wind farm that we can utilize here. However, we do have what happens in our atmosphere every day. The sun goes down, solar goes down, wind picks up. Today's generation of micro turbines and micro sourced energy for wind weigh as little as 2.5 pounds, and at 1.4 knots can actually generate the light for a 60-watt bulb over time. However, in this county, and this is the challenge for the administration and the elected body and the mayor of Havre, in Harford County under 267.27C wind energy devices, you, me, everybody else, and I would imagine the city, I'm not exactly sure on that and what the legal reading would be, you cannot attach these brand new wind energy devices that are out and are now at an affordable rate that are actually cheaper than solar panels to your home, to your business, to your shop. Sun doesn't shine 24 hours a day. I hear that from the fossil fuel people all the time. Guess what? When that sun goes down, it gets colder in one spot, warmer in another. That's a transfer of wind or air that creates wind. The new devices are very economical. They actually go together with the new solar devices that are coming out, especially with the new MIT projects that have hit the street lately, where they're looking at heat for solar power actually. So as the temperature changes, you can actually produce power heat-wise instead of just voltaically through photons. So I would consider it a blessing if this city actually challenged the statute that Harford County has in place that does not allow residents, businesses, and I believe the city buildings to actually attach micro generators to any solar projects they have for roofs or yards. It's very, very, I'm not going to say the policy's antiquated because it was done in 2009. However, it's more geared towards large offshore, or what they would imagine would be on some ranch or farmer's land, wind towers. It does not really apply to what we have here in our suburban and urban setting. So I would encourage you guys to keep going on wind. Thank you so much. Namaste.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. At this point, at this juncture, is if any citizen in the audience wishes to address the council on an agenda item or any other matter of city business, please raise your hand and be recognized. Yes, ma'am. Good evening and welcome. May we please have your name and address for the record?
Council, everybody.
Hi.
I'm here to talk about Historic Preservation Commission Awards, number 11. I'm a former member of the commission, and part of what they're going to do at the awards is honor Marita O'Connell for the website that she has made, historichaverdagray.com. And I met Marita a long time ago, and she was telling me about this project she had. And I said, well, the HPC would be really interested in that. So she eventually joined the HPC, and right now her project is being sponsored by the Haverdagray, Historic Haverdagray Foundation. But I know she has spent countless hours on this, and this is a real treasure for Haverdagray. It doesn't exist. I mean, if any of you have read her website and looked up your own houses, there's all kinds of detailed history about the deeds, which I know takes a long time to do all that. So she's overdue for an award from this city. She ought to get the flag, she ought to get the coin, she ought to get whatever you have, because really, this is a treasure. And I just want everybody to really appreciate it. And actually, I guess this is between you and her, but I would like to see it archived in the city. I mean, she's probably not going to be here forever. And then where's it going to go? You know, it's important for our city. And I want to thank Marita. And that's all I have to say. Oh, and the Green Team, yay, Green Team. I mean, what they're doing is amazing. I personally just recently, a year ago, started taking all my food. I got a compost bin, started taking all my food down there, and they're always full. They're always getting full. So thank you for the Green Team, and thank you.
Thank you
I'll
very
tell you my name and address.
Well, we all know who you are,
Kathy
Mrs.
Keene.
Keene.
Right, I'm sure you do. Kathy Keene, 205A, Seneca Way, Haverdagray.
Gotcha. Thank you. You're no stranger to us, Mrs. King. Thank you very much. Anyone else in the audience wish to speak? Any comments from the members of the council? Okay, we'll move on. Appointments this evening. We have no appointments, but we do have an oath of office. Item 8, oath of office. I'll be administering the oath of office to our new Director of Planning, Mr. Tim Borsier. Tim, if you can join me up front.
Line of work, we call that a transferable skill.
Tim, congratulations.
Thank you.
I know you've already worked for this, you've already been working for a couple weeks. Your contract was approved by council at a closed session meeting at the last council meeting, but just wanted to give you a chance to officially swear you in, and I'm going to give you a microphone in a second just to introduce yourself to the citizens of Havre. So, not a problem? Okay. Tim, do me a favor and please raise your right hand. I'm going to say the word I. When I say the word I, please repeat the word I, but also say your name. I,
Timothy Borsier,
do solemnly swear that I'll fulfill the requirement
that I will fulfill the requirement
of the office I'm about to assume,
of the office I'm about to assume,
that I'll support the Constitution of the United States,
that I'll support the Constitution,
that I'll be faithful and bear true allegiance,
that I'll be faithful
and bear true allegiance
and bear true allegiance
to the state of Maryland,
to the state of Maryland,
and support the laws
and support the laws
and Constitution thereof,
and Constitution thereof,
that I will faithfully and impartially,
and that I will faithfully and impartially,
without fear of favor or prejudice,
without fear of favor or prejudice,
discharge the duties
discharge my duties
as the Director of Planning,
as the Director of Planning
City of Havre,
for the City of Havre,
my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Thank you. Thank you, Tim. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is Tim Borsier, and he comes to us. His previous post was Yuma, Arizona, but he was there temporarily, but he has an extensive background in planning. We're very happy to have him on board here. And Tim, if you just wouldn't mind saying a few words to the citizens of Haverdagray, who I know many at home will probably bump into you from time to time as they have questions about a variety of topics in the city of Haverdagray, whether it's permits or questions about zoning. So this is a gentleman in the face that we'll become familiar with. So the microphone is yours. Please tell us about yourself.
My name is Tim Borsier. It's my second round in Maryland, actually, so I'm happy to be back. I'm glad to be in Haverdagray. I've met a lot of people already, really like the community. Everybody's really made me feel welcome, so I thank you for that. When I was in the interview process, part of what I discussed in my philosophy was this idea of getting to yes. So I'm here to be cooperative with everyone and to make everybody's projects be viable and come to fruition and do what works for people and also that works for the vision of the city. So it's an open door. If you guys need anything, you can always call, you can always email. We're going to continue the way that we've always been. So I'm glad to be here and look forward to meeting everybody.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Tim. Appreciate it.
I gotta shake your hand now.
If I can ask you to come over, absolutely.
Sure.
Thank you so much. If I could actually come over here real quick,
Okay.
and you could sign that for me right there.
Croatian, he's fluent.
Archives,
All right.
and this one. Tim, thank you so much.
Thank you. Glad to be here. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, moving along. Number 9, recognitions. We have none. Number 10, proclamations. We have 3. First up, we have Emergency Medical Services Week, May 15th through 21st, 2021. Could the gentleman please come up?
Hello, young man. John Paul couldn't make it?
He couldn't make it.
I talked
Sent
to
the
him on
best.
phone. Yeah, that's right. I got the pros here tonight. Anyway, just wanted to say real quick, John Carreri normally accepts this emergency services proclamation, but he's at home training right now because John Carreri has an appointment tomorrow night at the Harford County Council meeting as he's going to receive award as a Harford County Living Treasure. So we're very honored to have him here tonight. Or we're very honored for him. He's not here tonight, but we're honored for John Carreri. I know a lot of people know John Carreri. He served on the council for what, 4,000 years, something like that. Yeah. Anyway, he's a great man. So we appreciate you being here. And so I'd usually ask John to say the same thing. There's a history behind this week, or just can you give us the citizens a brief background?
Sure, I'd be happy to. Unfortunately, it was a couple weeks ago in May, but it's the one time that we can appreciate all of our first responders that are EMTs, EMRs, first responders, and our paramedics. So like we have Nurses Week and everything. It's a time that we can celebrate the volunteerism that happens within Haverdagray and also some of our paid people. So we do have some wonderful events, and it's just a good time for us to say thank you to them, because most of the time they're running around taking care of our citizens and don't get much of a thank you. So this is our time to do that.
Assistant Chief Armstrong, did you say everything? Is there anything you need to add?
Nope, that's good.
Okay, all right.
He's a quiet man.
Thank you for being here. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to read this into the record. And, again, this was a couple weeks ago, but we weren't able to present at the time, but we're going to present it now. Bear with me. City of Havre, Maryland Proclamation, Emergency Medical Services Week 2022, rising to the challenge. Whereas emergency medical services is a vital public service, and whereas the members of emergency medical services teams are ready to provide life-saving care to those in need 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Whereas access to quality emergency care dramatically improves the survival and recovery rate for those who experience sudden illness or injury. Whereas emergency medical services has grown to fill a gap by providing important out-of-hospital care, including preventative medicine, follow-up care, and access to telemedicine. Whereas the emergency medical services system consists of first responders, emergency medical technicians, paramedics, emergency medical dispatchers, firefighters, police officers, educators, administrators, pre-hospital nurses, emergency physicians, trained members of the public, and other out-of-hospital medical care providers. Whereas the members of emergency medical services teams were the career volunteer, engaged in thousands of hours of specialized training and continued education to enhance their life-saving skills. Whereas it is appropriate to recognize the value and accomplishments of emergency medical services providers by designating Emergency Services Week. Now therefore, I, William T. Martin, along with the member of Haverdagray City Council, proclaim the week of May 15th to 21st, 2022 as Emergency Medical Services Week in the city of Havre. And on behalf of myself and members of the City Council, we proudly present this to you gentlemen, and we thank you for being here this evening. Thank you for all you do for the city of Havre. We don't know where we'd be without you. So, thank you, Chief.
Thank you much.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate that.
Assistant Chief, thank you for being here this evening. Oh, Pete, Paul, quick photo. Sorry, I forgot.
Sounds like a good deal.
Yeah, I think so.
Big pick or never have it.
I got you.
Truck Sundays.
Truck Sundays.
Food Truck Sundays, starting next week at the Ambulance Corps Pavilion.
All right, next up, we have the Susquehanna Ministerium Association Incorporated for the 30th anniversary recognition.
Last two presidents.
Oh, well, we're honored. Proud? Well, so you're going to be doing more talking than me. So we're celebrating a 30th anniversary for the Susquehanna Ministerium. So obviously it was founded 30 years ago, and it sounded like there was a need to combine the local churches or work together. And I know in a minute we're going to be calling up the Grace Place because they're receiving the same 30-year award. So it sounds like they all kind of started together. Now, which one's more prepared to tell everybody the history? So tell us the need for the 501c3 to be formed and the purpose of it originally 30 years ago and where you come.
Okay, in I think it was 1992, right? I have to get my years straight. In 1992, the pastors decided to come together to form a unit for a twofold mission. First of all, to take care of the needs of others in the city. They saw a need. There were people who needed help financially. They needed help with food and different things like that. Well, the need for food is what developed Grace Place. Initially, it started, at St. John's, I believe. And then it is still at St. John's. And they have, every Tuesday, they have lunch for families who may not have any food any other time of the day. And they've been doing that for 30 years. The second fold was to bring relationship between the leaders of the churches, to bring unity to the city, so that the city could be one final unit for prayer, for sharing with each other, to, you know, when you're a pastor, you're out there alone sometimes and you feel isolated. So when you can come together with other pastors and leaders, you can share in the problems and the concerns that you see. So that was basically the twofold vision that they had. Okay, that's part of the whole condition. And it's continued. We've had many wonderful leaders, many wonderful people who've been part of the program. We have extended it for people who are in leadership in ministries like Habitat for Humanity and for the chaplain for the hospitals and other leaders like that. So we've extended it to bring people who are in leadership, who have a heart to help people grow and to find needs and to look for those needs and to address those issues.
The one thing I wanted to say is that dealing with the ministerium here is a rather unique situation. We have a unique relationship with you in the government and us in the church, which is not normal. And we really love that we don't have a normal relationship with the government because we see you as our partner, not as our opponent. And there have been projects that you and the government have asked us to take on. And there have been projects that we've asked you to take on, and we've worked together. And the more that we can do that, the more I think we'll benefit not just the church, but also the town. And not just this town, but the whole area. And it's just been a real honor and a real joy to see that relationship to continue for the time that I've been in the ministerium. I didn't talk about the history because I haven't even been around the state that long. Now, I'm older than that, but I didn't know the history. But I do know what's here now, and what's here now is very valuable.
Another factor is, you said working with the government. Well, in 2015, we worked with the leaders in Harford County to establish the Hope for the Homeless Alliance. When we have provided, with the hope of the Harford County Hope for the Homeless, we have provided housing for up to 80, 90 people every year. Now we've been having them in the motels, and now we have extended it to families. And it's very sad to see that we had half of our people were families. Children, 19 children we housed this winter. So that's another factor. We keep looking for things to continue. But what blessed us was when Councilman Beulah came to our meeting and said, "What can I do for you?" And we saw the need for the homeless, and he said, we'll work together. And that's what we did. I mean, it caused problems at first, but it worked out, and we established a good mechanism, a good group of people to follow through with that.
Well, thank you both for a little bit of the background for the public to hear. Thank you for your perspective as a newbie. But I appreciate you saying that. Like I said, it means a lot. We've always been honored to be a partner, and we've always been honored that the Ministerium sends some good folks to come here and open up our council meetings under some prayer, and whatever that denomination has to be. We're always honored to have a little bit of guidance, higher guidance when we make our decisions. So thank you very much. Like I say, it was really nice what you said. Please allow me to read this into the record. City of Haverdagray, Maryland, proclamation in honor of the 30th anniversary of the Susquehanna Ministerium Association. Whereas 30 years ago, several people, two of whom were Mary Weddick and Kay Mike, got together and decided that a feeding center should be opened in Haverdagray to help those in our community who needed a hot meal, along with food donated by local grocery stores and purchased food from donations. Whereas a sponsor was needed, so the ladies went to work getting several churches together to form the Susquehanna Ministerium Association, Incorporated, to have a 501c3 status. The Susquehanna Ministerium Association became incorporated on January 24th, 1992. And whereas the mission of Susquehanna Ministerium Association, Incorporated, is to foster, to support, and demonstrate God's love for each other and the community of Haverdagray and beyond. Now therefore, I, William T. Martin, along with the members of the City Council, honor the 30th anniversary and the service and dedication provided to the citizens of Haverdagray by the Ministerium, Susquehanna Ministerium Association, Incorporated, signed by myself and the members of the Council. I'd like to present that. Thank you. And again, so much. Reverend Proud, Pastor Whitehead, thank you for your time. Hold on a second. Yeah, it looks pretty. That way when someone looks at the picture, they're like, what was that? Mark those words.
Mr. Mayor, next up, we have the Grace Place 30th anniversary.
Hello. Good to see you. Thank you for being here to see you. On, right? Yes. All right. Well, thank you for being here, and just as we recognize the Susquehanna Ministerium for 30 years of service, so too do we recognize the Grace Place 30th anniversary. A lot of citizens of Haverdagray are familiar with Grace Place, but just like I did with Reverend Proud and Pastor Whitehead, I'm going to ask which one of you is more qualified to give a little history lesson on this.
Oh, I get.
I had a feeling.
I got it. Yeah. Oh, give it to a woman, right?
I have a feeling we on this subject. So just tell everybody just a quick background on the formation. I know it's related to the Ministerium, and how it all started off, and where have you gone from then to now?
Okay, sure. Well, as Mary said earlier, we started 30 years ago with a couple of women from St. Patrick's Church, actually, Mary Wettig and Kay Mike, two real spearheads at getting things done. And so they needed to pull together to get this 501c3 to be our umbrella. And I'm told, because that was a little bit before my time, but I was told that they had more volunteers at the first luncheon that they gave than they did people that they fed. We always hoped that, and we always strive to say that at some point we would become obsolete, but unfortunately that's never happened. And as circumstances change, and as inflation is picking up now, for instance, our numbers are going up and we see more people. But what I'm really grateful for are the steadfast volunteers that we have. And for all that they do, including my husband Graham, who's there every week with us and does a lot behind the scenes, but and the community at large, and all the companies and individuals who support us financially and otherwise, and the people like Klein's ShopRite of Aberdeen, I'm going to give them a plug, and Panera Bread of Aberdeen, who we get donations from them every week. We also see the Cub Scouts getting involved, and that's part of their agenda as well. So we're very appreciative for all that the city does for us, including the money that we get, but also for all the volunteers that we have, both the current volunteers and some who are no longer with us. And I'm the coordinator of Grace Place, but Ron is our president of the board of directors.
Thank you, Louise. I first came to Grace Place probably about 5 years ago and was asked to help set up tables and chairs. 2 years later, I'm president of the board. I don't know how that happened, but it happened. Yeah, okay. And I just can't tell you how grateful I am to be a part of the community. I have so much, and a lot of our clients have so little. And I'm just glad in some sort of a way this community can come together and help these people live a better life.
Well, thank you both so much for the background, and Mr. President. It all started by putting some tables up, huh? Now you're the president. Charlie Hyder once sold me a house and asked me if I'd be on the Lockhouse board. Now look at me. So it happens. They get you in Haverdagray. You're willing to volunteer, they'll just keep pushing you forward. Thank you both very much. It's a very familiar sight to drive by the church and see the line out front, and it just reminds everyone every day that hunger is real. The need to feed yourself and your family is real, and that's the greatest thing we can do as a community, is not let any neighbor or citizen go hungry. So what you do and what your organization do, like I say, we're very grateful in the city of Havre. It's a badge of honor almost that we can say we take care of our own. So thank you. And I'm glad you did mention some of the sponsors like ShopRite and all them, because I know that's where it comes from.
They're a big help, and we wouldn't be.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, really, what they give you is sometimes even more valuable than money.
Yep.
you know. Please allow me to read this into the record. City of Havre, Maryland proclamation and honor the 30th anniversary of Grace Place. Whereas 30 years ago, several people from various churches in Havre got together and decided that a feeding center was needed to serve Havre and the surrounding community. Whereas Mary Weddick and Kay Mike from St. Patrick Church were instrumental in setting up the program, and whereas a sponsor was needed, so the ladies went to work getting several churches together to form the Susquehanna Ministerium Association Incorporated, and for them to have a 501c3 status. Whereas Grace Place became incorporated on January 24th, 1992, and whereas Grace Place served its first meal in February of 1992 at St. Patrick's Church, and whereas Grace Place has served and continues to serve a needed hot meal each week, along with distributing donated food at St. John's Episcopal Church. Whereas Grace Place also provides personal care products, blood pressure checks, flu shots, and health care advice. Now, therefore, I, William T. Martin, along with the members of Haverdagray City Council, honor the 30th anniversary and service and dedication provided to the citizens of Haverdagray by the volunteers of Grace Place. Signed by myself and the members of Haverdagray City Council, and it gives me a great honor and a privilege to present this to you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, that's all we have for proclamations. Next up, number 11, presentations. Historic Preservation Commission Awards with Ms. Jean Johnson, Chair.
Awards for our three awardees for this year. I'm Jean Johnson, and I'm joined current and past members of the Historic. During the month of May, just behind us, we celebrated National Historic Preservation Month. We can join the EMS guys getting our comments a little bit later, but that's fine. We want to celebrate historic preservation all year round. I hope some of you noticed we have new banners that the city was kind enough to put on street lights for us on Union and Washington and St. John. Reminding everybody about the. So tonight the celebration continues. We recognize historic property owners for their steadfast support for Havre. We celebrate 20 years tonight, and we've got a poster, and we're going to put it up there so folks can see it. We'll have one of these at the visitor center, I think, and perhaps as you come into City Hall, if that's okay. We've got another one. This lists all the properties in Haverdagray that won an award over the last 20 years. Truly thank the folks that own those properties. Tonight we'll celebrate three property owners for this year's award. The Haverdagray Colored School Museum and Cultural Center for its 1910 schoolhouse, and the owners of the Victorian Double on Green Street, Carol Kiesler. And then lastly, tonight we're going to celebrate the work of Marita O'Connell. Since 2002, the Commission has recognized over 60 owners for the care of their historic properties. They are the backbone of historic preservation. The addresses on those properties are listed here on the poster.
Hold on one second. Hate to interrupt you.
Yeah,
My
go ahead.
sound advice guy told me you can't hear through this one.
Yeah, I think the batteries are dying.
Would it be possible to hold this?
Of course I can, yeah.
Okay, we just want to make sure people.
Sure. Thank you. Since 2002, the Commission has recognized over 60 owners for the care they give their historic properties. They are the backbone of historic preservation in our community. The addresses for these properties, and there's a handout floating around. We'll have more copies of that, are listed on the poster. Again, this is for the last 20 years. But I was reminded by Carol Nemeth earlier today, thank you, Carol, that actually the awards were started by the Lockhouse Museum folks over 40 years ago. They were continued, as I mentioned, in 2002 by the Historic Preservation Commission, chaired by Ron Browning, who's in the audience tonight, and other members. You saw Kathy Keene earlier, and if the current members of the commission would please stand up. A couple of us are here. Okay, the Lees and Carol and Ellen. I guess that's it. Oh, there you are, Karen. Our newest member, Karen, our high school teacher, Karen. Okay, thank you. You guys can sit down. Restoring and maintaining a property that aspires to the U.S. Secretary of Interior's standards for rehabilitation, what a mouthful that is very challenging, and we thank those owners, including the city of Haverdagray, which owns several of these properties listed, for preserving our historic properties. And we encourage everyone, when you're walking through Haverdagray, to just take that flyer along and notice which ones have been recognized in the past. In our National Historic District, designated by the National Park Service in 1982, there are hundreds of historic structures that were identified as, quote, contributing structures, some of which are in superb condition, some neglected, some vacant, and many at risk. The first and only historic inventory of Haverdagray was conducted in the late 1970s in the first wave of historic preservation awareness after the passage of the National Historic Preservation Act of 1966. So there's much work to do to protect the historical assets of our Tidewater town, including protecting our iconic streetscapes with design guidelines, avoiding demolitions, and identifying, documenting, and restoring individual structures. The continuing preservation of all these award-winning properties that are listed on the poster and that we celebrate tonight is more important than ever. Now Carol Nemeth will introduce our awardees and tell us a little bit about their properties, and Kathy Lee and Carol will present their plaques and their garden signs.
Hello, good evening, Mayor Martin and City Council. Tonight we are most honored to present our annual Historic Preservation Awards to the following recipients. The 1910 Haverdagray's Colored School Museum, Carol Kiesler at 515 Green Street, Christine Jacobson and Joel Lightfoot at 517 Green Street. If I may, I would like to give a brief history of each before presenting the awards. The Haverdagray's Colored School Museum was built in 1910. The structure was used as a primary school for grades 1 through 8 for its African American students. Those African American students seeking a public high school education had to travel to Baltimore, Cecil County, or elsewhere to acquire one. In 1930, as a result of the efforts by Clayton Stansbury Sr. and other community leaders, Harford County agreed to establish the first high school for African American students. The county selected Haverdagray as a location and named it the Haverdagray Colored High School. A brick building was erected in 1930 adjoining the existing 1910 white-framed primary school building and selected Leon Stansbury as principal. Despite the limitations of the building and property, many well-known community leaders today graduated from Haverdagray Colored School. The building operated as a school until 1953, when both the elementary and high school were moved to a new building at 201 Oakington Road to serve African American students, grade 1 through 12. It was named the Haverdagray Consolidated School. Despite the fact that segregation of public schools was ruled unconstitutional by the U.S. Supreme Court in 1954, it was not until 1965 that Harford County schools were integrated. The building was then sold by the Harford County Board of Education in 1972. It is not known how the building was used during that time, but it was purchased by D General Partnership, which consisted of the three daughters of former Haverdagray Mayor Gunther Hirsch, who renovated it as a medical building, which was used between 2005 and 2015. Through a partial donation by the Hirsch family, grants, and fundraising efforts, the foundation, called the Haverdagray Colored School Museum and Cultural Center, continues on with its fundraising efforts and grant work in an effort to recreate the school as it once was and to utilize it as an educational tool, a museum, and a cultural center. Now for 515, 517 Green Street. The structure was built between 1865 and 1875 for Robert and Elizabeth Morgan. This brick duplex was built in the Second Empire style, which has been traced to France. It boasts a mansard roof, allowing a full third floor rather than an attic. What stands out about this imposing building is the beautiful ornate woodwork and barge boards on its facade and its spacious front porch. The restoration effort was completed by Jackie and Martin Hoover, one of the previous owners, who painstakingly recreated the design at their own expense, even though they didn't own both sides of the building. Their hard work and attention to detail has created an eye-catching appeal and adds to the beauty of the Green Street streetscape. Also, as some of you may already know, if you want to look at these buildings or many other buildings, historic buildings, you can look at Marita's website, which is historichaverdagray.com. Thanks so very much. And now I guess we'll begin with the awards. Okay, so I'm going to call Carol Kiesler, Christine Jacobson, and Joel Lightfoot. I'm calling all of them up by name, and all the representatives of the Haverdagray Colored School Museum. Please come forward. And do we have the awards? Do we have the awards? Jean, the awards.
Probably for the camera view.
I don't have the flags. It appears that the plaques are in another location, not here. So I'm sorry I cannot present the plaques to you today. But I do want to thank you all for your hard work. For the people, I want to talk to each and every one of you specifically and talk to you about what it means for you to live in a historic house. Any comments you want to make about the building that's received the award? Okay, so we're going to begin with the Haverdagray Colored School. Can you please, who would like to speak on behalf of the Haverdagray Colored School?
Good evening. My name is Emil Cromwell. Thank you for honoring us this evening. But first, I'd like to make a correction on some of the information that was given about, who did you say the first principal was at the school? No. Okay, all right. Is that what it is? All right, okay. All right. Well, first of all, once again, thank everyone for this honor this evening. And this is my sister, Thurl Snell, and my cousin, and another cousin here, and really another cousin here, and our cousin taking the pictures, Bobby Parker. Yeah, really, and oh yes, and we're very honored once again. The grammar school at one point was, the principal was my grandfather. His name was Abel Francis Cromwell. And then after he retired, around 1930, when the high school portion was built, Mr. Leon S. Roy became the principal. And we were blessed in that respect because Mr. Roy had attended Lincoln University in Pennsylvania, and his roommate was the world-renowned author Langston Hughes. So if you ever have an opportunity, you can come by our school and share some of this history with us. And this is our illustrious president, Ms. Pat Cole. And thank you for the honor this evening. Oh, yeah.
As I look around this room, we were here about 7 years ago with a request to save the building. And it was through the community of Haverdagray that came together and helped us preserve this really precious piece of history. So we want to thank everyone, even the members, Carolyn and Jason. I mean, he's donated his not only time and he's donated an antique chair that he gave to us. So we thank you, Cassie, the mayor, Steve Gamatori. If it wasn't for him, I'm not sure if we would even have the school. So it's really a community effort, and we are so blessed to be here in the city of Haverdagray. The high schools, the junior high, everyone came together, and we were able to raise awareness and funding to save the school. We did it in a 2-month period. Raised over $150,000 with the help of the community. So we are so blessed and thankful. Thank you so much.
You introduce yourself.
Yes. Hi, I'm Carol Kiesler, and I own 515 Green, and I'm so honored to receive this award. I was looking to move here a couple of years ago and saw the property and just a picture online and fell in love with it. It's just breathtakingly beautiful, and if you haven't seen it, please drive or walk by and see it. I want to honor Jackie Hoover for the work that she did. She owned the site adjacent to me, and the fact that she spent so much time and money restoring the whole building is really special to me, even though she did not own it. And we know that she worked really hard to keep everything symmetric and looking the same on both sides. And I just really appreciate all the work that she did, even though I never got to meet her. I've met some of her friends and family members. I absolutely love living in this town and also in a historic home. We love being able to walk into town and participate in all of the events and activities and patronize the businesses. And I will always do my best to preserve the history of this home as long as I own it. And I hope that's a really long time. And I just really appreciate your work that you all do and that the commission chose us for this award. Thank you.
Christine Jacobson and Joel Lightfoot at 517 Green. Yeah, what she said. Pretty much.
Go ahead.
Hi.
You guys live in a cool house.
We do.
Like the house?
Yep.
Because we're new to the community, and so this word is really Jackie's, not ours.
Yeah, and I will say that this past weekend we got to enjoy our first Friday, and our first Friday, and that porch that you talked about is the ideal place to meet all of Haverdagray. Everybody walks by, everybody says hello, and it's just a magical place. So, honored to be here.
Can I ask you a question? Were you looking for a historic building to live in? Did you like the fact that it was a historic house?
So, you know, I have always liked historic districts, but I never saw myself being until I opened that front door. I opened the front door, and everything that she redid inside the house, all the glasswork, all the trim, the ceilings even have design to some of them. And so it spoke to me. And so where I'd never previously thought of it, I don't know that I want to live in a historic district. Sorry.
District.
I really did. I did say district, baby. Thank you for helping.
Thanks for sharing your experiences. Absolutely. Thank you. Thanks for all you've done. Thank you.
Can I say something real quick? Well, cat's out of the bag now. I'm a history teacher. Thank you very much. And my friends on the Historic Preservation Commission, thank you. And those who were on the Historic Preservation Commission, it's always great to see you here. Brings back memories. Thank you so much for investing in our city and being part of our community. We are a very, well, you know, we're a city that has people that have lived here all their life, and we're also a city that has a lot of people who've just moved here. I am not a native of Haverdagray either. I moved here in the 1990s. But what's nice about Haverdagray is the minute you're here, the minute you drink from the water from Susquehanna River, you're a Haverdagrayian. And it's a very welcoming community, and we all thank you for taking home that preserving it. You know, there's some old houses that unfortunately are dilapidated, get passed beyond repair, but we are very grateful when everybody works together as a community to save the old one, because it's heritage in our community. So thank you for everything, keeping the color school together. What it is amazing to the community, and thank you for investing in your home. And I'd like to present with you all cool people, Grace, get a flag. So we'd be honored if you would hang that from your house. And Mr. Bill's telling you right now, if your flag gets weathered or faded, you just come right back to City Hall and say, hey, I'm from that cool house that won the Historic Preservation Award. I need a new flag, right? Promise me? Okay. And I'm going to give this to Emil's sister. So anyway, I'm done talking. You can finish up. Thank you.
Look this way.
Check.
Is this okay now?
Okay.
I just have two.
You really got to speak up.
Oh, okay.
Because you're quiet. Well, you talk. See how it goes.
I'm just teasing.
Say check.
Check.
Yeah.
Check.
Okay, thanks.
So,
Thank you. Yeah.
I'm going all July, but I should be back by then. We're good.
Okay, we have just a third thing to do. We're giving you a lot of history tonight. Now on to our Preservationist Award for Marita O'Connell. Marita's good work helping to preserve our collective memory took the form of a website, as several people have already mentioned, historichaverdagray.com. It is much visited by locals and by people around the world. Here's a bit of the Commission's letter to Marita commending her for her wonderful work. Your website and database, rich in details about the homes and the lives of local residents, present and past, is a go-to resource for history about our built environment, about our families, and about events in our community. The HPC knows well the time-consuming nature of the resource you have built and given to our city. We are so grateful to you for your steadfast hard work. We are also grateful to the Historic Haverdagray Foundation for their financial support of the resource. Then jumping ahead, I say your tremendous effort has helped all of us engage in knowing our history. We give our heartfelt thanks to you, Marita O'Connell, preservationist extraordinaire. I should have had her stand up here with me. Sorry, I'm new at all this stuff. As we just finish up celebrating National Historic Preservation Month. Marita, would you come up here, please? There you are, right behind me. And I'm sure all of you have looked at Marita's database and admire it as much as I do. So I have some flowers for you. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much, Marita. Beautiful. We really appreciate it. Do you want to say something? Or get your picture taken? How about that?
Yes, I would like to have my picture taken, and if I could approach you, I would like to give everybody a business card for the
Absolutely,
website.
absolutely, you can.
Can we have a couple of them so we can hand it out to people? Yes, and there are lots more.
It's quite an easy URL to, or address to remember. It's Historic Haverdagray. Historic Haverdagray. It's got a nice pull-down menu, and as a fussy retired librarian, I can tell you that it's quite nicely done, both in terms of navigation and content. I know all of us on the commission use it, right? Yes, I do.
Okay, Marita, don't run away yet. Did you give me one? No, it's fine. It's fine. Tim, go. Okay. I have something. Well, thank you very much. I was hoping to get this. Well, I have something for you. Stand over here just so the camera picks you up. So I've always been very impressed with your how you can dig into things. So you find out things that we can't even find out in City Hall. So you'll have to tell us sometime how you do it. We often time, yes. Time and experience, kind of like knowing where the rabbit holes are and knowing which ones to go down, which ones to avoid. I'm sure of it. But it's a tremendous resource for the citizens. It's one thing to read about history. It's another thing to advocate for history, but it's a completely different thing to solidify it, put it in writing, and preserve it for posterity. And you have done a great thing for the city of Haverdagray. And there's no flag for you tonight, but I can give you one if you want one later. But what I do have for you is a challenge coin for the city of Haverdagray for all you've done. And I know you know all. Well, I got to present it to you properly. Ready? Hold your hand out, and we have the handshake. Say we handshake, and that's how you get it. Present a challenge coin. And of course, as you know, the back of the challenge coin is a friend of ours, Mr. John O'Neill, defending the city of Haverdagray with the Latin inscription. That's right. He is a fellow Irishman. All right, he's done us well. We've been lucky with Irish in the city of Haverdagray. So, and Chaotic out of Pickature is he who dares wins, or who dares wins, and I think that summarizes the spirit of Haverdagray. And so we thank you for all you do for us, and well-deserved recognition and beautiful flowers. Thank you, Marita. Is there anything you'd like to say? Or
Website, I'm adding to it all the time. I even keep it up to date because every day I check to see what houses are sold in Havre, because new owners usually paint or do something different to the exterior. So I'm all the time taking photos. People have seen me work on the street, and they wonder what I'm doing. But I post the latest pictures of the house, so it's easily recognized.
thank you.
Even the ones I've already written, and that's like 495, I think, now, are on the website. But even there, I'm still adding to recent photographs of the houses. And of course, there are old ones as well.
Well, I have to tell you, though, I mean, the next award that you're going to get is the most walkingest person in Haverdagray, because I see you walking around everywhere. So the police will probably end up coming to you asking questions. Have you seen a suspicious person? So, like, Marita is everywhere. So we thank you very much for...
Just for Marita, right?
Thank you so much. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Turn to your left a little bit. There you go. Sort of cross line thing. Like I know it. Thanks. Thank you, everyone, for your time.
Thank you for all you do. Hey.
Next week. Okay.
It was once told to me that when you have a historic home, it's not yours. You're just taking care of it for the next person. So I really appreciate having that history, available.
Thank you very much, Council, for all those great presentations. Council, do you mind if we roll into a 5-minute recess? Any objections, Council President?
Mr. Mayor, I have no objections.
Any objections, Council? Okay, we're going to take a 5-minute recess, and we'll see you back in 5 minutes. Thank you.
Why do you want to recess? Go to the bathroom? Bye.
Welcome back. The time is now 8:32. We will be resuming our city council meeting for June 6, 2022. We are now going to go to item 12, resolutions. We have 3 resolutions this evening. First resolution is a calendar resolution concerning a moratorium of concerning a memorandum of understanding with the Haverdagray Green Team. And I will hand that off to the liaison to the Haverdagray Green Team, and that's going to be Councilmember Borsier.
Mayor, I move that we enter, I always get this wrong. I move that we introduce the calendar resolution concerning the memorandum of understanding with the Haverdagray Green Team for composting.
Second.
Council, I have a motion by Councilmember Boyer and a second by Councilmember Robertson. This is a motion to introduce a counter resolution. Questions or comments on the introduction? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion to introduce counter resolution concerning a memorandum of understanding with the Haverdagray Green Team carries 6-0 in the affirmative. Council, this will be Resolution 2022-14. A resolution by the Mayor and City Council of Haverdagray, Maryland, pursuant to the Section 33 and 34 of the City Charter and the Local Government Article of the Annotated Code of Maryland to authorize the Mayor and City Council of Haverdagray to enter into a memorandum of understanding with the Haverdagray Green Team, Ltd., as it relates to composting collection with Garrity Renewables, LLC, on city property. Council, I have a motion to adopt Resolution 2022-14.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Councilmember Boyer, seconded by Councilmember Zinner. Questions or comments on the resolution? Councilmember Boyer.
Mayor, since the Green Team first introduced this concept as a pilot project, it has been an absolutely exceptional program for the city and for the people who live in our city to be able to have an alternative to disposing of their compostable products from their household. It has been widely embraced throughout our city. It is so successful that we're almost too successful. And we would like to continue this project for another year in hopes of sharing the information with other cities and hopefully expanding the concept to other cities. There's a lot of people who are very interested in it. So a great program, and I really hope that we can continue it going into the foreseeable future and potentially expanding it as we get more and more experience under our wings. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Boyer. Any other questions or comments? Council, we're going to do a roll call on this resolution. Councilmember Zinner.
Yes.
Councilmember Martin.
Yes.
Councilmember Boyer.
Yes.
Councilmember Shenagus.
Yes.
Councilmember Robertson.
Yes.
Council President.
Yes.
A roll call vote of 6-0 in the affirmative. Counter Resolution 2022-14 concerning a memorandum of understanding with Haverdagray Green Team for composting. Resolutions approved and adopted. Thank you, Council. Item B, counter resolution concerning a policy to support renewable energy generation, and this resolution will go to the Council President for introduction.
Mr. Mayor, Council, I make a motion to introduce a calendar resolution concerning a policy to support renewable energy generation.
Second.
Council, I have a motion by the Council President, seconded by Councilmember Martin. This is a motion to introduce a resolution. Questions or comments on the introduction of this resolution? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion to introduce a resolution carries 6-0 in the affirmative. Council, this is calendar resolution 2022-15. Resolution by the Mayor and City Council of Havre, Maryland, pursuant to the Local Government Article of the Annotated Code of Maryland and Sections 33 and 34 of the City Charter, declaring the City of Havre intent to adopt a policy supporting renewable energy generation within the City of Havre, partnering with the Maryland Energy Administration and Enrolling as a Maryland Smart Energy Community. Council, I have a motion to adopt Resolution 2022-15.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Martin, seconded by the Council President. Questions or comments on this resolution? Council President?
Mr. Mayor, I would like to defer to our Director of Administration, Mr. Steve Gamatori, for a short summary.
Thank you, Council President and Council. This is the first of a companion, two companion resolutions dealing with the enrolling in the Maryland Smart Energy Community Program. And this was the results of some very, very good work done by Ms. Wanda Boker, one of our professional services part-time employees through the Department of Economic Development. And this is in response to our application and acceptance in the several grant awards programs throughout the city. So this is one of two that the council will be seeing tonight, and this is part of the process as we move forward into this renewable energy and also reduction in energy program here in the city.
Thank you, Mr. Gamatori. Any other questions or comments? Councilmember Borsier?
At this time, Steve, what percentage of solar energy do we have for the city? And are there plans moving forward to increase that?
Mr. Doherty, I don't have that percentage in total. Do you?
I do not have the current percentage because it's always fluctuating.
Right.
When we set up the solar energy program, we set it for the anticipated usage of the building. When we set it about 3 years, that was short of our center, which is down, but we had a couple months of ownership, so it was a conjecture on our part. I've heard 80% this. I imagine it's much higher. I imagine it's in the mid-90s. Only because we have the plants and all, the estimate of those plants is much larger than what the Star Center would be using. So logically, it's going to be a great deal more. In terms of moving forward, we really haven't had a need up until we added the Star Center, so we really have to give it some time to scope out so that we get the right amount. And we got to look for opportunities. You may recall we kind of had this opportunity fall on our doorstep from Constellation Energy, and the Perryman site is not one that I believe has any additional space, so we're going to have to find a partner to move on from there.
Yeah, in addition to that, with Ms. Boker working with the Smart Energy Commission, she established estimates, I think, at that time when she was making the application. And based on that number and what she potentially saw as achievable numbers, that's where the 20% came up. So there are a number of projects that she's working on that we've already seen success with, primarily adding some additional charging stations throughout the city. There's also a lighting project here at City Hall and at the water treatment plant where we're going to change out the exterior lights to solar lights. And then also some low energy lighting or LED lighting within the City Hall and some of the buildings throughout the city. So there's a number of these projects that she's working on that kind of generated these two companion pieces of legislation in order for us to go to the next step. The one other piece of this was the electric trolley that she's secured the first step of funding on, and I think we'll realize that in about 12 to 14 months, and that'll be a trolley that will have the capability of traveling on Interstate 95 going across the bridge, and it's our hope at that point to make that connectivity over to Cecil County for the Great Wolf Lodge, the casino, Stepping Stone Museum, and the like. So that was also part of the factoring in of what Ms. Boker put together. She did an outstanding job for us. Yeah.
So just to confirm, not only the purchasing of our electricity, but also the potential, we're going to be producers of solar energy that we would be consuming ourselves?
Not that I'm aware of that we're producing any. There
Well, the
was
solar lights, we're producing our own solar.
yes, the solar, that's solar energy, yeah, for our internal use for the outdoor lighting. Now, there'll be some connectivity to the grid, obviously, when there's not enough sun for those to operate. So to some extent, yes. Similar to what you would see with a homeowner with the hot water heaters and so forth, so.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions or comments? Councilman
Just
Robertson.
Sounds like administrative budget well spent on Miss Wanda Boker. Paying dividends.
And thank you, Councilman Robertson. We believe so. We believe she's been worth her weight in gold, for sure.
Any other questions or comments? Councilman, we'll do a roll call vote. Counter resolution concerning concerning policy to support. Okay, sorry,
Could
guys.
be.
Police,
You're not gonna
policy,
say no,
it's all the
right?
same thing when you get down to the end of it, right?
I mean, wow.
Solar-powered police cars.
Police
Let's
and
do it.
policy. Counter resolution concerning policy to support renewable energy generation. This is Counter Resolution 2022-15. Roll call vote. Councilmember Robertson.
Yes.
Councilmember Shenagus.
Yes.
Council President.
Yes.
Councilmember Martin.
Yes.
Councilmember Zinner.
Yes.
Councilmember Boyer.
Yes.
By roll call vote of 6-0 in affirmative, Counter Resolution 2022-15 is approved and adopted by council. Item C, it's another counter resolution concerning a policy to reduce electricity consumption, and I'll hand this off to the council president for an introduction.
Mr. Mayor, Council, I make a motion to introduce a calendar resolution concerning a policy to reduce electricity consumption.
Second.
Council, I have a motion by council president, seconded by councilmember Shenagus. This is a motion to introduce a counter resolution concerning a policy to reduce energy consumption. Questions or comments on the introduction of this resolution? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion to introduce resolution carries 6-0 in the affirmative. Council, this is going to be counter resolution 2022-16. 2022-16, a resolution by the Mayor and City Council of Haverdagray, Maryland, pursuant to the local government article of the annotated Code of Maryland in sections 33 and 34 of the city charter, declaring the city of Haverdagray's intent to adopt a policy to reduce electricity consumption within the city of Haverdagray, partnering with the Maryland Energy Administration and enrolling as a Maryland Smart Energy Community. Council, do I have a motion to adopt resolution 2022-16?
Second.
Motion by Council Member Zinner and a second by the Council President. Questions or comments? Council President.
Mr. Mayor, as Mr. Gamatoria said, this is a sister legislation to the previous one that was all explained earlier.
Thank you, Council President. Any other further questions or comments? Councilmember Boyer.
So, Steve, what are a few of the projects anticipated in support of this?
Well, several that I just mentioned, with the outdoor lighting program being one, the LED switch out within the city buildings being another, and then just the overall, this particular portion is for us to, or this resolution, like the other one, is just for us to adopt a policy that Wanda has drafted administratively to commit to doing these things, these programs. So I think it's the projects are actually captured, I believe, in the body of the resolution. I thought, but so basically the solar powered lights, the LED lights, and moving forward.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any further questions or comments? Okay, this is going to be a roll call vote. Calendar Resolution 2022-16. Councilmember Martin.
Yes.
Councilmember Boyer.
Yes.
Councilmember Robertson.
Yes.
Councilmember Zinner.
Yes.
Council President.
Yes.
Councilmember Shenegis.
Yes.
By roll call vote of 6-0 in the affirmative, counter resolution concerning a policy to reduce electricity consumption, 2022-16, approved and adopted by council. We're going to go to item 13 on the agenda, ordinances. This evening we have an ordinance concerning fiscal year 2023 budget. And we will hand off the introduction of this ordinance to the chair of the Budget Finance Committee, and that's going to be Councilmember Robertson.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, fellow council members. I move to introduce the ordinance concerning the FY 2023 budget for first reading.
So moved.
Council, I have a motion by Councilmember Robertson, second by Councilmember Martin. There's a motion to introduce the budget ordinance. Questions or comments on the introduction of this ordinance? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion to introduce the budget ordinance carries 6-0 in the affirmative. Council, this will be now known as ordinance 1078, 1078. An ordinance by the Mayor and City Council of Haverdagray by the authority of Article 11E of the Maryland Constitution, the local government article of the annotated code of Maryland, and Section 37 of the Haverdagray City Charter, for the purpose of establishing a city budget for fiscal year 2023 by designating the annual projection of the anticipated revenues and proposed authorized expenses for the city of Haverdagray for fiscal year 2023. Council, to have a motion to adopt on first reading.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Robertson, second by Councilmember Zinner. Questions or comments before the roll call? Councilmember Martin.
Mr. Mayor, I want to thank the staff and the administration for working through the budget. I want to thank all the members of the council for all the work sessions they attended to make sure the numbers we are working with work for the city. So again, thanks to the administration, thanks to the staff, and thanks to the council for all their hard work.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Martin. Any other questions or comments? Roll call vote on ordinance 1078. Councilmember Robertson.
Yes.
Councilmember Zinner.
Yes.
Councilmember Martin.
Yes.
Council President.
Yes.
Councilmember Shenegis.
Yes.
Councilmember Boyer.
Yes.
By roll call vote of 6-0 in the affirmative, ordinance 1078 concerning the fiscal year 2023 budget is adopted and approved on first reading. Council President, when would you like to have the public hearing?
Mr. Mayor, due to a charter regulation, we need to have the meeting before the next, public meeting before the next council meeting. So I propose next Thursday, 6/16 at 6 p.m.
Okay. Next Thursday, June 16th, 6 o'clock p.m., right here at the council chamber.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much, Council President. Okay. We're going to go to item 14, old business, the farmer's market. Director of Administration, Mr. Gambatoria.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. Several meetings ago, the council voted to allow the farmer's market to move forward in the location down on St. John Street. And after such period of time for there to be a discussion on alternative sites. And I think Ms. Mandel's here from the farmer's market, and between the city, DPW, the police department, and the administration, we feel like there was one or two small kinks, but we feel like we have everything worked out. The farmers seem to be very happy. The participation continues to grow, and we would like council to permit the farmers market to continue, whether it's for the rest of the season or for some other period of time, so that we can move forward.
Make a motion that we continue the farmer's market till the end of the season as originally proposed.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilman Martin, second by Councilmember Janegas. Questions or comments? Councilmember Zinner?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to say that I'm glad we're able to extend the time frame. I know I had requested that we give it some time to see how it was working out, and I really appreciate the cooperation of the farmers with the businesses to work out an equitable solution so that they may continue to carry on their business, and both parties can service the public and make money off of the market, and the businesses and the homeowners have a place to park. So I'm really glad that they were able to work that out together.
Thank you, Councilmember Zinner. Any other questions or comments? Councilmember Robertson?
I guess I'm still not quite understanding why we're not utilizing the open air market that we created at Hutchins Park, specifically under the tent where the farmers market had been in the past. So I assume that that's what the 2-month time frame was for. Am I wrong in that assumption?
There was not any ability to have the, to move back underneath the tent under the current conditions. With the, even though it's an open air market designation, the farmers themselves felt like there was a liability in order to go down there.
But we came to the conclusion that there's not a liability for the vendors, correct?
I'll refer that to Ms. Ishak.
In terms of the city's position, there's no attempt to impose liability on anybody. I think it was more their sensitivity to the scenario. They were concerned about signing anything that they didn't have to sign previously, that we discussed at the last meeting. And also, I think they're just a little jittery because of they don't want to get dragged into litigation that they're not parties to. Honestly, that's my take on it, but I can't speak for them. But we can't force people to say, you know, you're going to go here or nowhere.
Well,
if we want to have a farmer's market, we've kind of got to play within the rules that we have.
I mean, I disagree with you. We're the government giving space in the city, so we literally can force people to go where we prefer them to go. But my question is, and this is what we discussed before, why is it up to the individual vendors to sign separate leases and not the entire body, the Committee on Community Projects?
When I said, to clarify, I actually did answer your question. When I said that we can't force them, we can say where you can or can't have it as a city. What we can't do is say, if you don't want to do it there, we can force you to be there even if you don't want to be there. That's what I meant. And if there's not a willingness for them to go where we thought it could still go, then we're stuck with, do you not have it, or you try and work something in between? And I think that's what Mr. Gamatori was, alluding to when he said it seems to be working here for now. The city didn't ask for this litigation, so we tried to do a workaround within the limits of the parameters of the Express Powers Act and legislative authority of the city, and that did not work with the particular groups we were working with in terms of satisfying them. And at the same time, they indicated that they really strongly insisted on being close to the proximity of where Hutchins Park was as their preferred preference. And it's my understanding that the way the discussions were going, we could not guarantee the number of vendors that we've had historically in this particular area if it were moved too far away from that area. So that was kind of the balancing act we were working under. All things considered, I think theoretically it could be back there, but if you don't have a willingness on the other party, there's not a lot we can do.
Okay, so my question still remains, though. Why is it up to the individual vendors to sign leases individually and not the whole body that oversees them, the same body that presented this event application to begin with?
They were requested, and they chose not to. It was requested of them to do that, and they chose not to. That's my understanding.
Why was it requested of the individual vendors?
No. It was requested of the body that oversees the individual vendors. It was requested of the body to sign on behalf of the
So then the vendors didn't necessarily have an issue with the agreements for the open air markets. It's the body in charge of the vendors?
Well, no, there were two options laid before them. You can either do it as a master lease with individual spaces, or you could do it with each space, like each vendor space being leased. Neither of those options were acceptable, one to the umbrella organization or two to the individual vendors.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, we had a motion by, this is for extending the farmer's market till the end of the season. We had a motion by Councilmember Martin, seconded by Councilmember Schneges. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion to extend the farmer's market till the end of the season carries 6-0 in the affirmative. Item B, amendment to Resolution 2022-8. Council President.
Mr. Mayor, Council, I make a motion to introduce an amendment to Resolution 2022-808 to authorize license agreement for a sign at Greenway Farms, Rancus Drive.
Council have a motion by the Council President. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Martin. This is an amendment to Resolution 2022-8 to authorize license agreement for a sign at Greenway Farm. Questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Amendment to Resolution 2022-8 is approved, 6-0 in the affirmative. Item 15, new business. Special events, we have 4 of them, and I'm going to hand them off to the Director of Administration, Mr. Gamatoya.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. We have just a few this evening, starting with the Summer Jam. This is sponsored by the Haverdagray Housing Authority. One site contact person is Nikki Biggs. This event will take place up at Somerset Manor. Setup will be on the 25th of June at 8 a.m. The event starts at 12 noon, and then ends at 4 p.m. with a cleanup of 5 p.m. I think Council is very familiar with this event. It's always well attended and very well done. Street closures will include both the courts up at Somerset Manor, Stansbury, and also Van Cherry Court. There will be food sold at the event and some food given away, no alcohol. This is one of the events, or one of the sponsors of this event is always the Chief of Police, and the Havre Police Department do a wonderful job with working within that community. The last page of the application, you'll see a DPW cost, and that's actually the total cost of the day. PD does spend most of their time up there and resources as part of the community event itself. And with, I think, K9 ICAR doing some different tricks, showcasing him as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gamatoya. Council have a motion to approve Summer Jam.
So moved.
Motion by Councilman Martin, second by Council President. Questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Summer Jam's approved, 6-0 in the affirmative. Mr. Gamatoya.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Council, the next event is the annual Children's Art Festival. This is sponsored by the Haverdagray Arts Commission. Amy Steelman is the contact person. This will be, again, at Tidings Park, as it is every year. Begins on the 10th of September at 11 a.m., ends at 3 p.m. with a setup of 8 a.m. and a tear down at 4:30 p.m. This is traditionally a very well attended event by the children within Havre. There is no food. There's no, of course, no alcohol, but there is plenty of fun. By the parents. Then the parents will want to start stuffing the scarecrows and all that, just doesn't work out. There's actually a map within your packet and the call sheet to the rear of the packet for DPW. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gamatoria. Council, I have a motion to approve the Children's Art Festival.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Zinner, second by Councilmember Robertson. Questions or comments? Yes.
Thank you. I would just like to build on the comments that Mr. Gamatoria made. It is a very well-attended program. It had been cut short the past 2 years by COVID, and then last year it was reinstated. And it's really nice to see the different art that the children actually make, and then and they get to enjoy, and the entertainment. So I'm glad to see it back again this year.
Thank you, Councilmember Zinner. Any other questions or comments?
Yes. Mr. Mayor, yes, Mr. Mayor, Council, I'd like to say that I think that the people that are in charge of the Arts Festival have really done a nice job. They really have their heart in it for the children, and I think that it's definitely something to continue as an annual tradition going forward, and to support it by encouraging families to ride the trolley down and, bring their friends from the community, and to continue to support the event. And I would like to see it grow. Because it's between 11 and 3 p.m., it's a great time to get the families out. And I just want to say thank you for being a part of it last year so that I can experience it. And also that I want to say congratulations for carrying it forward. We have a change in the new administration and president, and I just want to wish them well in going forward with continuing that tradition.
Thank you, Councilmember Shenanigans. Any other questions or comments? Children's Art Festival. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All against say nay. Children's Art Festival, December 10th, 2022 is approved 6-0 in the affirmative. Mr. Gamatoria.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Council, the next application is the 11th Annual Blessing and Pet Expo. This is sponsored by the Haverdagray United Methodist Church. Our own Tammy Brinkman is the contact person. The setup is on September the 11th at 10 a.m. The event goes from 12:30 to 3:30. It's held down at Concord Point Park. The event is free. There's no food service, no alcohol. A site map is included in your packet, as is the police and DPW costs.
Thank you very much. Mr. Gamatoria, 11th Annual Blessing and Pet Expo, Animal Blessing and Pet Expo for September 11th, 2022. To have a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Zinner, second by Councilmember Shenanigans. Questions or comments? Councilmember Zinner.
Thank you. This is a great event for pet owners. Last year I took my, what was he then? I guess he was 3 months old. This year he'll be a little over a year, and he's gone back to get a new medal because he lost his St. Francis medal already. So we have to get him another one. But it really is nice to see all the animals, and it's not just dogs, it's lizards, iguanas. You name it, they come, and they get blessed. And it's just a lot of fun I think, for everybody who attends to see the different animals and the interactions and the owners with their precious pets. So glad to see it again on the calendar.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. 11th Annual Blessing and Pet Expo for September 11th is approved 6-0 in the affirmative. Mr. Gamatoria.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And the final event this evening, Council, is Bark for Life of Harford County. Again, a returning event. It's sponsored by the American Cancer Society. Ms. Jordan is the contact on-site person. This event actually occurs up at K9 Cody Park. It'll begin on the 17th at 11 a.m. It'll end at 2 p.m. with a setup at 8:30 and a tear down at 4 p.m. This is a fundraiser, so there is a fee. To attend, $15 for participants with one dog, $20 for two dogs, and free if there is, if participants come up with no dogs. The event has been very well attended in the past. There is food service available, both giveaway and for sale, no alcohol. Again, it is up at K9 Cody Park. There's a map attached toward the end of your packet, as is the costing sheet at the very end. That's the last event, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Gambatoria. Council, I have a motion to approve Bark for Life.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Council President, second by Councilmember Martin. Question or comments? Councilmember Zenner?
This is another fun one for pet owners. And last year we went and we saw some nice tricks by dogs, well-trained dogs. You get to purchase wearing apparel, bow ties, bandanas, etc. So I'll be there paying cash for my items for my puppy. And everybody else is welcome with their dogs too.
Thank you, Councilmember Zenner. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay.
Discriminating against cat
Bark for
owners.
Life of Hartford County, September 17, 2022, at K9 Cody Dog Park. It's approved 6-0 in the affirmative.
Like a dog.
We're going to go to item 16, Director's Reports, and we're going to start with the Director of Administration, Mr. Gambatoria.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. I first would like to welcome Tim Borsier to the administrative team. We look very forward to Tim's expertise as we start to move into this next phase of construction and development, and also his great expertise with looking forward with our comprehensive plan that's will be before council within the next year or so. So work is underway with that. So welcome, Tim, and we're glad to have you here. I'd like to thank the administration, the directors, and the staff, and especially council for the number of pieces of legislation that we've brought through over the last 6 to 8 months. It's been, at times, somewhat overwhelming, but we appreciate everyone's patience and the amount of number of good questions that we've got, and also the improvements that we've been able to make from those pieces of legislation. And then lastly, we learned this morning that at 8 a.m. this Friday at the Gold Star Memorial, the Legion Riders will be coming through, as they do each year, and they have a wreath-laying ceremony down at the Gold Star Memorial. All the different areas of staff, PD, the custodial staff, the Department of Public Works, we're all preparing. We've contacted the American Legion to support the event any way that we can. If you want to experience it, you should be down at the Gold Star area down around Concord Point no later than 8 a.m. When about 60 to 80 motorcycles arrive. They come in from northern Baltimore County. They'll come do their ceremony, which will last about an hour, and then we will escort them to the Route 40 Bridge, and then they'll head down toward the shore where they'll go to their next Gold Star Memorial wreath-laying celebration. So it's quite an event. We've been fortunate the last 2 years to host it, so we're looking forward to that. Any council that's available, I know it's short notice. Unfortunately, we just got it this morning. Let us know, and we'll make sure that we get a spot for you down there up front and close.
Can you repeat that time one more time?
Yes, it's this Friday at 8 a.m., and it lasts about, they said they have to be back on the road at no later than 9:15. So we're expecting them to be on time in order to leave on time. But the chief and her group will provide an escort from 155 and I-95 into the city, and then an escort back out. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gambatoria. Good evening, Mr. Borsier.
Hope this microphone's working.
My inaugural presentation to you guys from the department. So first, I just want to thank everybody again for giving me the opportunity to serve the city. I know there's protocols of all of us speaking to each other and what exactly I can do, but anything I can do to help any of you serve the city with any information I can provide. I have a open door policy, open email policy, so whatever you guys need, any way I can help, please let me know. And I have to thank Mr. Gamatoria, Mr. Ricci. They've both been very helpful in my transition here. They had the wherewithal to bring me in at a time when Shane Grimm is still here, which is something that's pretty rare to have such a long layover with a past director. So with Shane and the rest of the staff, I've been doing a lot of tours of the town, the city, and seeing what's going on, getting to know all the projects that are upcoming, everything that's in the works. I did probably a good 3 or 4 tours of Bully Rock and some places over there just to kind of see everything that's going on. So everything's been really good with just getting me on board and getting to understand what's going on with the planning department. Concerning projects, Steve had mentioned that we are moving forward with the comprehensive plan. In the near future, we will be presenting a kickoff meeting with all of you. We're working on a timeline internally on when we'll finish that for sometime next year. We're really getting the ball moving on that. That'll be really important in being able to change our zoning codes and implementing those things from the comprehensive plan for this second step of our development within the city. We had, excuse me, we had a meeting last week with some Amtrak representatives that are letting us know that the funds and the initiatives are there to get that project moving again, and we're going to be working with them to try to push forward many of the things that have already been discussed in past conferences and meetings that you had held when the project was beginning back before COVID and everything shut down. So we're working. We had another meeting with them just to let us know that they're kicking things off again and kind of where they stand, a general timeline, and that they're mostly just going to be in touch with us as we move forward. Besides that, again, just working to get up to date with specific projects. I spoke with Tim Whitty before the meeting. We're going to discuss tomorrow more exact numbers of what projects are in the pipeline, where, and how those things are coming in, just so I have a better handle of what's going on, more than just knowing, what's approved where and how that's going, and how we'll serve them. The last thing is starting in July to take care of some administrative matters. We're going to have the permits window open from 9 to 5 instead of 8 till 5. That'll give us an hour in the morning to take care of some things administratively and getting some things put in digitized and put in electronically in the system and take care of some of that backlog. The last thing, 6:30 on June 9th, we have a Board of Appeals meeting, and that's it from Planning Department.
Tim, thank you very much for the update. Appreciate it. We're going to go with Mr. Doherty, Director of Finance. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council, citizens, both at home and here. First of all, thank you, council, for approving the first reading of the budget. We are now, I guess, officially in the home stretch as we bring this to closure by the end of the month. As to the current status of the major funds, the general fund is sitting with a balance of about $2.5 million. It's down about $400,000, but it is anticipated most of that can be attributed to a little over $500,000 in capital projects that we have started to move forward in, that they're all budgeted, and so it was anticipated. One thing I'd like to note is that we got a rather healthy check from the state for income taxes. People are finally starting to fill their returns out and all. We're actually a little above what we budgeted for, at about $250,000, and we'll see next month if we can't bring that one home by the end of the year as well. The water sewer fund is sitting at just under $700,000. It's about $300,000 down. Most of that can be attributed to the fact that the revenues were reported on last month because they were put into the books, and so it's all expenditures this time for the operating cost. Again, we're still well over the budget. We're well over the anticipated budget about $1.4 million ahead of schedule. But most of that we think will start to come down as these projects also start coming into fruition and start moving forward. The fund balances will drop. And finally, the Marina Fund is sitting at about $1.05 million. It's up since our last report of about $175,000, due mainly to collection on the final dredging reimbursements. We got about $200,000 in final dredging reimbursements. So we're doing well. In all three funds, they're all still well ahead of schedule, and we hope to finish the year strong. And if you go back and look in your budget, you'll see that that's what we anticipated when we set up the budgets. If there are any other questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Any questions, Mr. Doherty? Mr. Doherty, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Good evening, Mr. Woody, Director of Public Works.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Just a couple of things this evening. The Water Street project will be starting June 13th. We had to hold off due to the fact that Underwood had a presentation to make in Japan. So as soon as they are coming back this week, and so we'll be scheduled to get that project started on the 13th of June. It's been a long time coming, so we're definitely looking forward to that. For as far as paving goes, we are paving 2 blocks of Strawberry Lane. The last project that we have lined up is St. James Terrace, but we're waiting for Baltimore Gas Electric Company to get out of there before we pave that road. We have partnered with Harford County on Chapel Road. We're not going to pave that whole road. We're just going to patch. We've identified 9 areas to patch in the road. 4 of those are on the county, 4 of those are on the city side, and 5 are on the county side. It's going to be a split. We're each going to pay our portion for that. So we're estimating that the Harford County side will be about $21,913, and the city of Havre contribute $20,495. And you do realize that that road is still divided based on annexation. So it's, even though Blenheim Farm Road and Bully Rock extends down past the intersection of Bully Rock Parkway and Chapel Road, we only own we only own portions of that road due to the fact that several areas along one side of the road are still in Harford County, and the actual road itself, the roadbed, isn't really in an actual right-of-way. It's actually property lines come to the center of that road. So it's a little complicated, and we both decided that the condition of the road is such that it can be patched, and those areas can be patched, and the road can be brought up to a good condition. And then finally, we are still pursuing with issues with I&I, as we talked about before. We have a condition by which basically inflow and infiltration of the sewer system, we sometimes have as much as 2 million gallons of rainwater coming into the system, and it's ending up in the wastewater treatment plant. And so we're continuing to identify areas that we can address the I&I situation. One is Erie Street project. That project is actually going to be commencing, I believe, next week. The contractor is going to start. And then I have started a request for proposal of CCTV, a portion of the sewer that it comes down 155, it crosses underneath a number of areas of Lily Run. I believe it's in a high groundwater table. It's old terracotta pipe, so we're going to put a CCTV request for proposal. We had the pre-bid meeting this morning, and we're going to try to go ahead and get that cambered and identify the infiltration areas, and we're pretty confident that we're going to find those and actually probably go ahead and line the pipe, the sewer pipe, to kind of alleviate that situation, and also maybe reline the manholes as well in that project. That's all I have for this evening. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Mr. Woody. Appreciate the update. Thanks for getting all that paving done, too. Appreciate it. Good evening, Chief.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. I just want to let everybody know, I know Captain Alton was here for the last council meeting, and he was talking about the Torch Run t-shirts. So now I'm going to talk to you about, just real quickly, the actual torch run itself is Wednesday, June the 15th at 8 in the morning. We usually meet at the parking lot right in front of the Lock House. So everybody is more than welcome to come and cheer on those of us who are running. I'm not running this year because I'm going to be helping with the Boys and Girls Club event. But nonetheless, we usually have we usually have several Special Olympic athletes there as well to join us during the whole run. So if anybody is available, that's always a good thing, and the runners as well as the athletes like to see people participating in that. The other thing that I want to mention is this past weekend was phenomenal in our city, starting with First Fridays, with everybody in town. I swear everybody in Harford County was in Haverdagray on Friday, which is good, which is really, really good, which is what we want to see. But I just also want to remind a few people with all of the special events that we are having, and with the summertime being so nice, we have a tendency to see collisions happen with motor vehicles and pedestrians, and we want to try to reduce that as much as we possibly can. So we really want folks to pay attention when they're driving, especially when they are coming to the special events, because there are so many attractions usually going on and so many people. So please don't get distracted while you are driving. Your speed is very, very important. We want to make sure that you aren't speeding, because that right now is the #1 reason for motor vehicle crashes, not just here in Havre, but nationally. And then we also want to make sure that you have enough distance between yourself and the other vehicle. And we really do want you to pay attention to the overall surroundings. What was really wonderful about this past weekend is that a lot of people took advantage of the parking right outside of the Star Arena, which was really good. I don't know that there was a vacant spot left, during First Fridays, which is really wonderful, which means that the trolley was being used a lot, as well as pedestrian foot traffic. So again, when you're driving, make sure you buckle up, you slow down, you use some distance, you don't drive distracted, and you just drive defensively and very, very carefully. So that would be it.
Chief, thank you very much for the update. Appreciate it. We're going to go to business from the mayor's office, and I just want to recap a couple things that was said, just to underscore them for their importance. Mr. Whitty mentioned about the Water Street improvements that will begin on Monday, June 13th. And once again, this is the long-anticipated part of the project where we're actually going to be reclaiming some of the shoreline. We'll be heading out into the water with some fill to extend the beach. So just a couple bullet points right here. This will be creating a natural-based shoreline to reestablish the relationship between the land and natural bodies of water. It'll be a three-dimensional. It's three-dimensional. It's going to be consisting of shallow aquatic beds, tidal marsh, beach strands, tidal pools, wetlands, and integrates well with the non-tidal and terrestrial ecosystems. Also creates high-value plant and wildlife habitat, which is easily accessed by river and bay organisms. Acts as a natural defense to storm surge and other climate change impacts like sea level rise, and added protection of buildings and infrastructure. Lower maintenance improves water quality and creates recreational spaces for people to enjoy the outdoors and reconnect with nature. So like I said, this has been the tough part to get done. The approval process on this was a lot of work because we're reclaiming land from the river. And sometimes it's difficult to prove nobody likes it when you go out into the river to reclaim land. They don't mind the river takes your land, but nobody likes it when you reclaim land. But we're reclaiming land, but the reason why we're being allowed to do it is because of the ecological benefits of what's going to be created. So this is a really, really big step in our project, as Mr. Whitty said. So starting on June 13th, expect to see more work being done on Water Street. Ride the Tide. The trolley last weekend, it was actually Memorial Day weekend, made its quiet debut around the city of Haverdagray. We didn't really advertise it heavily on the first weekend. It was kind of like a soft opening / trial run. through the city, just in the event that there might have been any unanticipated glitches. We didn't want a whole lot of fanfare with that, but everything actually was going very smooth. Thanks to the head driver, Mr. Fred Wills, who was piloting this program, who we're very grateful for his standard operating procedures and training all the drivers. And so we're very grateful. So the first weekend was Memorial Day weekend. It ran Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. And this past weekend it ran Friday night with an altered route to account for First Friday. Then it ran on Saturday and Sunday. So here's some numbers. It's operated over 2 weekends, 3 days each weekend. 90 total operating hours. The trolleys have carried 1,364 passengers in 2 weekends. And keep in mind, we haven't even really aggressively promoted these trolleys yet. It's still kind of been like a soft opening. Traveled a combined distance of 755 miles. No reported safety or traffic issues. And I need to remind everybody that these trolleys are all electric, and not 1 ounce of fossil fuel was burned to transport 1,364 people, 755 miles. And the good news is now we have all kind of people putting applications in that want to be trolley drivers. So I said, any time now, they'll start their own union. I'm just kidding. It's a joke I have with Fred Wills anyway. Union and all. No, but it's great. So we're very, very excited about it. It's something we've worked on for 5 years. Just, again, there was a statutory regulation that would not allow low-speed electric vehicles over a gross vehicle weight rating of 3,000 pounds. And it's taken many, many years to try to get that little teeny that rule changed, and we did. And that was the mountain we had to move. And now the trolleys they're doing well. And the funny thing is the trolley drivers were telling me, 40% of the passengers are residents of Haverdagray that just want to sit on a trolley and see their town. And a lot of comments were, man, I've never been up to the Lock House before, and things like that, people that actually live here. So even if the trolley can take our own citizens and show them the beautiful city, then it's worth it. So thankful, we thank the trolley drivers and everyone involved in getting the trolley moving. So the tide is coming your way, and we'll have more maps posted. We'll have more signage. It'll be more and more improved and updated as it goes along. Now, First Fridays was mentioned by the chief. Tell you what, every single vendor space was full. The weather was perfect. We were owed that. May was a washout. So thank you, Lord, for the beautiful weather you've graced our city with. We appreciate the good weather. We had every vendor space filled. We had over 100 vendors at First Fridays. We had 5 live bands playing on First Friday, and that doesn't count the bands that were indoors at the restaurants. We had 13 food trucks that were swamped, and we'll be scheduling even more next month. That's in addition to all the restaurants that had to wait just to get in to eat. We had 5 restaurants that had cafe seating. I just want the kids to know that the Kids Zone will be back on Pennington Avenue next month. And like I say, and the Hartford Brew Tours brought a sold-out bus loaded of folks from Bel Air and said they will most likely fill 2 buses next time. So it's good to see our friends from Bel Air coming to Haverdagray on First Fridays. And by all accounts, we believe it's a record crowd. So First Fridays is back, and it's better than ever. And there's one more comment I'm going to make tonight. When I took office in 2015, and I was working with Council President Gamatori at the time, one of the things we wanted to do was to put the city government on a good path forward when it came to employees' wages and benefits. It was kind of all over the place sometimes. I mean, every year you never knew. The employees didn't know what to expect. It was almost like Christmas time. Was it a good year or a bad year? We just wanted everything to be. We wanted employees to know, this is what we expect each year, or if I work and get this certification, I can move to this level. You know, we wanted employees to know that, you know, the healthcare was stable and this is what to expect, the average out-of-pocket costs. We wanted things to be stable because it's easier for us to project years down the road what our tax revenues would be, what our expenditures would be. And it's hard sometimes, you know, when you're trying to do this in a vacuum. You know, I was a new administration taking over with a few new personnel. So the Council President Gamatori and I at the time created the Wage and Benefit Commission. And the Wage and Benefit Commission had people from various different fields. We had folks on the Wage and Benefit Commission that had expertise and background in employee compensation. We had people with background in medical insurance, health insurance, and so on and so forth. It has been a great commission. It's been a great tool for the administration to rely and lean on, the Wage and Benefit Commission. It was a great group of people. It was a solid group of people. It was almost pretty much all the same people the whole time that served in the last 7 years on it. What's that? Only one change. Yep, only one change. And we have, we've used all this advice to build upon a legacy till we got to a point now where we feel we've put the police department on a good path, and now we're implementing in this year's budget, putting the civilian side of the city's workers on a good path. Sustainable, that also complements the growth of the city as well, that we've always hoped. You know, as the value of home and the value of the city rises, so does, you know, the employees' wages do too. That's the way it should be. As the city grows, we're able to take care of the employees with the cost of living and things like that. And we all know how hard inflation is right now. But anyway, the whole reason I bring this up is the Wage and Benefit Commission did its job. And it got us to a point where I think the administration is on solid ground right now. And we feel very confident about not only the near-term outlook, but the long-term outlook. And knowing some of the dutiful, loyal citizens on that commission who have felt like 7 years has been good enough, I've talked over with Director of Administration and Council President Ringsocker, and I'm going to announce the decommission of the Wage and Benefit Commission that we no longer need at the time. We'll mothball it, and we'll tell the volunteers they can stand down. So I believe it was an ordinance that created it. Am I correct? So we'll probably need an ordinance to disband it. So I'm announcing it right now that I'd like to decommission it, and I'll make that announcement to the Council President. So if it's agreeable to Council, we'll get the legislation moved forward in the next meeting or two. Okay? But I just want to let everybody know that the Wage and Benefit Commission did its job. It was successful, and we'll stand down now. And with that said, we're going to go to, I thank everybody for your time, and we're going to go to Councilmember Borsier.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening. Good evening, Council President and my colleagues and those who are still remaining. Thank you for your diligence there. First Fridays, absolutely loved it. I agree. It was amazing to see so many people and so many people who have come in and fallen in love with our town. Last week, I also participated in the Haverdagray Patriot Program Awards at Haverdagray Elementary. I want to congratulate all the Patriots and their parents for their hard work and becoming in the process of becoming patriots. One of the things that they did is they, instead of having the regular speeches and everything, they asked participants or the elected officials to either hand stuff out, and the police chief handed out really cool stuff. Nobody else had cool stuff like she did. But what I did instead is I asked all the kids their opinions on things. And of course, the most important thing in their world about the parks specifically, and we just passed in the budget tonight $200,000 in ARPA funds to upgrade McElhaney Park. And I asked the kids, okay, what do you want to see? What's most important to you? And this is their feedback, above and beyond. They want a variety of sized swings so that the little kids can have their swings and the big kids can have their swings and their parents can swing too. very, very specific on this one. They want a double circle slide. They just don't want to go around once. They want to go around twice, coming down. They really love the merry-go-round and would like to have that. They would like stuff to climb, like monkey bars and a rock wall, and they want us to configure it so that it's fun to play hide and seek. The other thing that was resounding from practically every student that I talked to was they want to have equipment so that they can play alongside their friends who might have different types of abilities. They don't want them to have separate equipment. They want to be able to play with them, if we can figure that out somehow. They were very excited about the possibility of being able to try some of it out and providing us with some of their feedback. And some of their parents also liked the idea too. Just give them addresses of where to try out the equipment, and they'll come back and give us a rating on how they liked it. So they're very excited about what we've done for McElhaney Park, and hopefully we can see that through for this year and keep their feedback going on and keep them involved in the process of government so that they can become good as citizens as they get older. I too rode on the trolley. I have to say it was a great experience, not just to be able to, that perspective of having somebody else drive and I can see all the stuff that I can't usually see from my car. But the other perspective is the very interesting people that you rode with, whether they were from out of state, out of Haverdagray or somewhere else, Havre County or anywhere. It was just amazing. Every time you got on, it was somebody from a complete, like you would never even believe that you came that far just to drive around Haverdagray. Everybody appreciated very much that it was a clean vehicle and how we made that a choice for our city. And I agree with a couple of posts that have been online that it really is an opportunity to bring our city together, not just to take people around to see the important things that they've not seen before, but to meet neighbors that they've never really encountered and just to have some fun conversations along the way. I'm really hoping that we'll be able to get a couple of our seniors who are in St. John's Towers, who have not been down to see the lighthouse in a very long time, to get them on the trolley and take them down there so they can see the lighthouse again and maybe have lunch down at the Promenade Grill. Also from our budget, I'm really looking forward to connecting some of our sidewalks. I know Juniata Street's in there. It's been something that the Street and Traffic Safety Committee has talked about for several years and have asked for it to be completed. As many of you know, we know where the sidewalk ends, and it ends several places in Haverdagray. So in particular on Juniata Street, now that the high school has moved to the other side of the street, it makes it so students coming from, I don't even know how to describe, I guess it would be the northeast part of, or yeah, they have to walk into the street or through a large amount of mud in the spring to get to the path that takes them back to the high school. Conversations I've had with parents, et cetera, saying, or just community members in general, that they don't want to see the kids walking in the street. You know, they're not going to walk across the street to walk down a block, to go across the street again to get to where they live. So very much looking forward to that. And hopefully moving in the future, we can identify other streets in Haverdagray that need this done too. In particular, I have a concern with Lafayette. We have more and more events down at the lighthouse and there is no sidewalk that takes you up Lafayette. And what happens is the greater majority of people after an event have to walk in the middle of the street, and then we have car traffic, et cetera. And luckily everybody's kind and patient at the end of the 4th of July fireworks or the John O'Neill Day fireworks, but eventually it gets to be a pain in the butt for people walking. If we could have a sidewalk, I think a sidewalk solution, that'd be great. And I just want to foot stomp on the idea from the Green Team earlier tonight. I think the idea of sharing information about how to use renewable resources and conserving energy is a great idea. It'd be great to share that in one of our publications. I know we used to have the Citizens Connection, and there's discussion of that there's a new edition of whatever in order to communicate with our community a little bit better. But I think that's very important, and maybe it's even a way for the Green Team to have one of their film discussions, and then maybe break that off for an opportunity for the city to talk about what we're doing to conserve. So, thank you.
Councilmember Borsier, thank you very much. Good evening, Councilmember Zinner.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, council members, and citizens. I just have a few things tonight. Two of them kind of come into the realm of a public service announcement, sort of. Some of you may know I had a medical emergency in my home on May 20th, and I needed to call EMS, and I did, and they came at an appropriate time for the emergency. However, I was directed to go to Upper Chesapeake Hospital, not to Harford Memorial. The ambulance went to Harford Memorial. I went to Upper Chesapeake. Physician lost about maybe 25 minutes talking to me about a critical timeline that we needed to treat my husband. And as a result, he called me en route to Upper Chesapeake, and he said, "Are you coming?" And I'm sure the ambulance drivers, and he saw my address, knew I was in Haverdagray, and yet 25 minutes later, I wasn't there yet. And I said, "I'm 5 minutes away. I'll be right there." So he asked me to play through the timeline, and we got off the phone because it was pretty critical to his treatment. And I got to Upper Chesapeake, and I asked for my husband, and I was told that he wasn't there. And then another person went through the census and told me that he was at Harford. So got back in the car, and fortunately I had a neighbor drive me, and another neighbor followed that person, and they did not leave until I got into the hospital and asked to see my husband and found out that he wasn't there. So I'm not a novice when it comes to health care or asking questions regarding health care. So I just want to say to everyone, if you have a health care emergency and you're told Upper Chesapeake, just ask for clarification. Are you talking about Harford, or are you talking about, or Haverdagray, or are you talking about Bel Air? I think there's a lot of confusion with the marketing that's going on today. When you're put on hold, you're listening to everything there is about the new non-hospital hospital in Aberdeen. And they've been changing a lot of things, and I think that it's confusing to people who are upset and need help. And they're told that, for example, Upper Chesapeake is the premier or the priority stroke center in Harford County, so that's where you go when someone's having a stroke. And there's other consequences to that. It could have been more serious, and maybe I would have lost my husband and I wouldn't have been there. And I would have to live with that consequence. So I'm not blaming anyone from the EMS service. I am just saying that with all the branding and marketing that's going on that is specific to Upper Chesapeake, that please, just for your own peace of mind, if someone tells you they're taking the patient to Upper Chesapeake, just ask, is it Harford Memorial, or is it in Haverdagray, or is it Upper Chesapeake and Bel Air? When you leave the parking lot, it says free parking, compliments of Upper Chesapeake. And when you go across the street, the sign on the hospital says Harford Memorial. So just for everybody's safety and peace of mind, just be aware of that. The other thing is the crosswalk. I think I went through the crosswalk from the parking garage to the hospital at least 50 times in the past almost 3 weeks. The time a car has stopped for me to walk through that crosswalk has been minimal. So generally what I do is I sort of just stand there and get the lay of the land so I don't get run over. And if I see a car going slowly enough, I'll kind of put my hand out. Well, the people driving are wonderful. They're waving back to me, and I'm thinking, they must be thinking, hi, how are you? The other part is that when a car makes a right off of Revolution, there's not a whole lot of time for that car to see you and to slow down. So I'm particularly careful there. But I will say that you really have to look both ways, and the sign to stop is almost being universally ignored. So again, another word to the wise. So that's my public service announcements for tonight. I want to also congratulate Marita O'Connell for her special award. She was a former member of the Historic Preservation Commission and has done yeoman's work on her website. She also used to be responsible for new owner packets, and she would create pages and pages of documentation when someone purchased a historic home in Haverdagray and present that to the new owner, which is really a nice touch, I think, for somebody new in the area. I also want to congratulate the members of the Colored School and the Green Street Properties for their Preservation Awards. And last but not least, I was pleased and honored to attend the awards program at Haverdagray High School for graduating seniors, and I presented the K. Mike Award through the Sir Optimist organization. But to see all those, the diversified student body was one thing, and all the awards that these seniors were getting, it was just really a nice feeling to know that this is the history of our country, and these are going to be future leaders, and we're in safe hands. There was after I spoke, and I'm glad he spoke after me, because I don't know how I would have followed him, was a Marine recruiting staff sergeant. And he had recruited 5 members of the graduating class at Haverdagray High School. And he did talk about the very generous education benefits for signing up, and also the very generous stipend that those young men will be getting every month while they're in school. So I noticed a lot of long hair there, and I was wondering how they were going to feel when they got it shaved off. But at any rate, so it was my pleasure to be there. I really enjoyed it, and I really do want to congratulate those scholars on their accomplishments and the number of scholarships and awards that were handed out that day. That's it for me.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Zinner. Good evening, Councilmember Robertson.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, fellow council members, city staff, ladies and gentlemen here and at home. Just 2 quick announcements. Number 1 is this Saturday, June 11th at 10 a.m., the American Legion will be holding its flag retirement ceremony in the backyard. It's looking like it'll probably be an abbreviated ceremony because we had some folks drop out and some other folks pitch in. So please join us for that. And the Lighthouse, at the Lighthouse also this Saturday, the 11th, at 4 p.m. will be the luau. I believe tickets are still available. That's to benefit the Arts Collective. They have this real unique Polynesian troupe coming in, singing, dancing, doing the flame juggling and all that stuff, and then a full dinner. So definitely check that out if you're able to. Mr. Mayor, that's it.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Robertson. Good evening, Councilmember Shanegas.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, Directors, citizens here and at home. Thank you so much for all of the hard work our city put into making this weekend special. I know that from the city putting up everything for First Fridays, to the vendors, to the community that we represent with the businesses, to all the volunteers that take time at the tents to represent their committees and commissions. Thank you so much to everyone for making our city wonderful. And just to top it off, the trolleys just made it so that we could enjoy, and parking wasn't an issue. People felt as if they were, coming to a place and being welcomed with open arms. I just want to also say that the weekend extended into the Jazz Festival, and there were events that were available to everyone. There were free performances. There were also events that you could attend and be either at the State Theater or the Opera House and the Star Center. Again, we couldn't have done it with all the volunteers and the help. So I thank you, volunteers, and everyone on behalf of the citizens of Havre-de-Grace for making it great. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Shanegas. Good evening, Councilmember Martin.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Council President, and Council staff. Our remaining audience is patiently waiting, and those at home. First, I want to give a shout out to the police officers that worked this weekend. With all the events we had going on, all the time they had to put in, the heat coming and going, they were very, very patient and very, very helpful to everybody that wanted to come up. They were pleasant to talk to, and they helped anybody and everybody that asked a question. They went out of their way. I was very impressed with the way they worked with all the hours they had put in. So thanks to them. When we talk about thanks to the volunteers, we had over 90 volunteers that worked the Jazz and Blues Festival over those 3 days. Well, that's important because we had those 90 volunteers. Well, here's the next thing. We have the July 4th parade coming up, and we can use more volunteers from the city. So if you're looking for something to do, you're looking to volunteer, the July 4th Commission is looking for help there. So again, come on out. Casey, thank you very much. Your survey with the students really supports the idea of a sensory park for an upgrade, and that is very, very important because that meets the criteria that you were talking about, where the park is designed to meet the needs of all our children, not just, and they can work together and play together. And finally, I know we talked about the ambulance corps, and there's a food truck Sunday. It's the second and fourth Sundays of the month. This one is going to have over 20 vendors. The time is from 12 to 7, and it's going to have vendors and food trucks. There's live music. So again, come on out, support them. This will run until September 25th. With that, Mr. Mayor, thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Martin. Business from Council President Renshacker.
Mr. Mayor, Council, I recently made my appointments for the city committees, and I need to read them into record, sir. For Administrative Committee, it will be chaired by myself with Council Members Martin and Robertson. Parks and Harbor will be chaired by Councilmember Martin with Council Members Zinner and Shinigas. Budget and Finance will be chaired by Councilmember Robertson with Council Members Boyer and Zinner. Planning Committee will be chaired by Councilmember Shinigas with Councilmembers Robertson and myself. DPW will be chaired by Councilmember Zinner with Councilmember Martin and Boyer. And Public Safety will be chaired by Councilmember Boyer with myself and Councilmember Shinigas. Mayor. Now for my other business, I'd like to take this time again to welcome Tim Borsier. We had a nice long talk the other day, and we have a lot in common being from the upper Midwest, and he's definitely going to be an asset to the city, and I look forward to working with you, sir. I'd like to offer congratulations to former Mayor John Carreri on being named a Harford County Living Treasure. That's not something they give away lightly. This past Saturday, I represented the city with Al Na's Prince Hall Shriners for their diabetes walk at the park. It was a good time, beautiful weather, and it was well attended. They did a 2K little walk there, raising money for the National Diabetes Foundation. And then afterwards, did a couple things, and I went to an Eagle Court of Honor for Troop 965 for Scouts Stephen Snyder, Simon Murray, and Jack McGovern, who all received their Eagle Award. What's really cool about that is they all started Cub Scouts together when they were like 5. And now they all, within like a month of each other, finished all the requirements and just got their Eagle Award on Saturday. All together, and it's really cool. They're the last 3 left from their pack when they're growing up, and it's just something to see that doesn't happen very often at all. It's really cool. Got to represent them and got to see our delegate Johnson and State Senator Cassidy's brother was representing him. So it was a good time with them. This Friday, the 14th kid that I've referred to Shriners Hospital received scoliosis care, and he's receiving surgery for that. And I mentioned that because today is the 146th anniversary of Shriners International, which I'm very active in and very happy to be part of. And lastly, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to thank you for all those years ago you appointed me as a member to the Wage and Benefits Commission. It's been an honor to serve the city as in my capacity as a vocational expert for Social Security disability, and it's something that we've really worked hard on. And I think we've done a good job, and we've really set the city on the right path, given our police department a little better ability to recruit and be well compensated and put our employees on a path to learn better skills and be compensated for those skills. So I do thank you for that commission, for that honor, Mr. Mayor. And with that, I thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Council President. Appreciate the comments. We're going to go to item 19, adjournment. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
A motion by Councilmember Martin, second by Councilmember Shenegis. This is a motion to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion to adjourn is carried 6-0 in the affirmative. The time is now 9:57. Thank you very much, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Be safe, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.